The sun blazed down on the dusty road as Owen Carter walked slowly along the sidewalk. Each step pushed the worn soles of his boots deeper into the dirt. His pace was steady, but the day had taken its toll. It had been a long, tiring stretch of working the fields, fixing fences, and moving heavy equipment across the farmland that had been in his family for 3 generations. His clothes, faded jeans and a dark shirt sticking to his sweat-soaked skin, bore the marks of a hard day's work. The heat didn't bother him. It was just another part of life, like the dirt always under his nails. Owen didn't expect today to be any different until he walked through the glass doors of the Clayton and Nash tractor dealership. The cool blast of air conditioning hit him like a sudden shock. It felt strange and out of place. Inside, the floors shone like mirrors. The counters were spotless and made of shiny marble, and the whole showroom sparkled with wealth. Tractors stood tall under bright lights, sleek, powerful, and so modern they looked more like luxury cars than farm tools. It felt like stepping into a completely different world, and Owen felt that shift the moment he walked in. He wasn't there by chance. His son, Elliot Carter, founder and CEO of Carter Tech, one of the biggest farming equipment companies in the country, had asked him to visit a few dealerships. Not to test machines or approve designs, but to see how customers were being treated. Elliot believed that no matter how advanced their products were, the real success came from treating people with respect. But he had told the staff nothing about Owen's visit. "Go just the way you are, Dad," Elliot had said. "Let's see how they treat someone who looks like he just came off the farm." So Owen did just that. He moved slowly through the bright showroom, his rough hands lightly brushing the smooth metal of the tractors. They were impressive, way beyond the old machine back on his farm, but he didn't see them as shiny prizes. He saw them as tools, and he respected the smart designs and how useful they could be. He thought about how much easier things could be for farmers like him if they had machines like these. Then he noticed the change. The people behind the counters had spotted him. They were dressed in perfect suits, their hair styled just right, their watches flashing under the lights, and none of them looked welcoming. Their eyes followed him too long. Their quiet whispers carried a clear note of judgment. Owen heard enough to know what they were saying. One of them, a tall young man named Bryce, with slicked back hair and the smug look of someone who'd never worked a day in the dirt, walked over with a fake smile. "Can I help you with something?" Bryce asked, his voice dripping with fake kindness, like he was talking to a lost kid instead of a man twice his age. Owen met his eyes, calm and polite. "Just looking," he said. Bryce nodded, but the judgment in his eyes didn't go away. Bryce turned with a careless shake of his head and strutted off. Owen kept walking. Row after row of tractors stretched out ahead, each one more advanced than the last. But now he wasn't walking with the same quiet admiration. Something had changed. His steps felt heavier, not from the long day, but from the cold attitude that hung in the air around him. He could sense the judgment from the staff, the way their eyes followed him, quietly deciding he didn't belong. One of them even chuckled as he passed by. Another shared a smirk with Bryce, who had returned to his spot behind the counter. Owen didn't react. He hadn't come for their approval. He was here to see the truth for himself. Then Bryce appeared again, this time standing beside a top-tier tractor, waving toward it with an over-the-top gesture. "Looks like you've got your eye on our elite line," he said, voice still dripping with sarcasm. "But maybe I can show you something more fitting. We've got some used models in the back. Probably more your style?" Owen gave him a calm smile. "I'm still looking," he replied softly. Bryce's grin faded just a little, but he didn't respond. He turned and walked away, clearly frustrated that Owen wasn't falling into the role he expected. The longer Owen stayed, the worse the atmosphere felt. He wasn't just being ignored. He was being quietly, constantly put down. They judged his clothes, they judged his silence, they judged the dirt on his boots, as if it said something bad about who he was instead of showing a life of honest work. But Owen didn't raise his voice. He didn't get angry or demand respect. That wasn't his way. Instead, he moved slowly, carefully studying each tractor like it was the only one that mattered. And all the while, he watched the staff, how they treated others, how they whispered when backs were turned, how they acted around people who didn't look wealthy. By the time he reached the far end of the showroom, Bryce was there again, blocking his path. "This one," he said, pointing to the most expensive model, "costs more than you probably make in a year. Are you sure you're in the right place?" Owen didn't answer right away. He ran his hand along the cold, smooth metal of the machine. Then he looked Bryce straight in the eye. "I know exactly where I am," he said, calm and steady. Before Bryce could say another word, a new voice cut through the room, deep, older, and firm. "Bryce!" It was Harold, the dealership's senior manager. He had been watching the whole time from behind the glass of his office. His face was tight with anger, and he walked with purpose. "Do you have any idea who this man is?" Harold asked, voice sharp. Bryce frowned. "I was just helping him." "No," Harold said firmly. "You were talking down to him, and not just him. Half the staff in here has been acting like this. You've made a joke out of what this company stands for." Bryce's smirk disappeared. Harold turned to Owen and gave a respectful nod. "This man is Owen Carter. He's the father of Elliot Carter, the founder and owner of the very company whose equipment you're paid to sell, and he's the reason you even have a job." The showroom went dead silent. The weight of those words hit hard. Owen didn't say anything. He didn't have to. Bryce turned pale. His mouth moved like he wanted to say sorry, but no sound came out. Around them, the other employees froze. The arrogance in the room shattered under the truth. A few minutes later, Elliot walked in through the back. He had been sitting in the car, watching everything happen through the security cameras. He saw every look, heard every word. And now, standing in front of his team, his disappointment was clear. "I built this company on the belief that every customer deserves respect," Elliot said, "no matter what they look like, no matter where they come from. And today, you forgot that. You failed." No one dared to speak. Elliot turned to his father. "Thanks, Dad." Owen gave a small nod. He didn't need payback. He didn't need apologies. The message had been delivered. As he walked out of the dealership, he left just as quietly as he had come in. But this time, his steps carried something different. They carried pride. The lesson hadn't been for him. It had been for them. And it would cost them more than they ever expected.